Hey guys, welcome to episode 30 of the Tough Love podcast. All right, so I wanted to get something done here before I headed into work. I'm excited to be back to doing these. So it's been a while since I've done one, and the one I wanted to talk about is one that I had a conversation with my athlete the other day about. I find myself having this conversation throughout the years. It's helped me ever since I was in the military. Definitely had a few of these needed to rely on. So a technique that I've kind of developed over the years for myself and it's really how to get through that off day. Okay. We're going to have off days in training. They're going to happen more times probably than the great days. Okay. So, one of my athletes basically, I asked them to send me a list of their goals, short term, long term, because I'm really big on goal setting. And I basically said, hey, I want to see what your goals are. Tell me what you're looking forward to. I don't want to just see the numbers goals. I want to see like what you want to develop on as an athlete in the gym. And one of them was getting through their off days or their bad days. They openly admitted that, if they have a bad day in the gym, they usually let it carry on outside of the gym. They go home, they're kind of in a shitty mood. They're still watching their film at the end of the day, pissed off about a bad lift. It's pretty common. I used to do this too. Every now and then I still do it. I'm not going to lie. I think a lot of people in this sport kind of tend to be perfectionists. We are the kind of pirate ship oddball bunch of the sporting world. But I really think just athletes, it's an athletic mindset. We look for perfection in movement. We're not always rational in that. So I wanted to talk about that and today's episode 30, again, getting through that off day. All right. Like I said, off days are gonna happen. I think first of all, if you're going into the gym and you're still on that rookie streak, as we'll call it, and I mean that in the nicest way, you're beginner, you're new to the sport. This is really the sport in general, and you're learning it, whether it's weightlifting, tennis, baseball, and everything's going really well because you're learning it. You have a high level of learning adaptability. You don't know anything, so you're learning, and every day is exciting because you're learning something new. So by definition, you're going to learn skills quick, quick, quick. Doesn't mean you're great at them, but you're learning new things. And then you kind of hit like a wall, and it happens really fast. In weightlifting, you hit gravity, and gravity just is a real bitch. Um, so those off days start hammering you. Things that used to be easy get difficult. And what we don't do is we don't use our rational mind to sit there and be like, oh, well, shit, I'm doing heavier load or I'm doing more volume or coach has put in an extra training day. So I've never used this much tonnage in a week or in a month or in a training cycle. We don't look at that. We just get angry because we used to be able to do a set of, I'm just throwing numbers out for any weight class, but like a set of 45 for two with no issue. Why the fuck am I having so many problems with 45 for three now? This is bullshit. And we're totally irrational in the sense that we just, maybe have done 6 sets of that today. So we kind of get a little irrational. We kind of get a little angry. We start to let it affect us. And then training can kind of spiral out that session alone. But really, this talk is about how do we get through it if it starts crappy or in the middle of the training session it gets crappy and then we continue on the day. Um, I think one of the things that right out the gate, and this is what I talked to the athlete about, that I think people need to do more of, is just mentally prepare. And mentally preparing is kind of hard, I think, for a lot of people because they just go into the gym, they look at their programming and they just get to work. They just see check boxes and they're just checkbox training. All right. I've talked about this multiple times on the podcast. If you've known me as a coach, I've talked about it multiple times. Again, something that was really drilled into me in the military is like checkbox training is deadly. Okay, it's deadly in the military, obviously, because if we're complacent, it could get us killed, especially if we're shooters. Um, you need to be adamant about what you're doing in your actions. Those actions, the more specific and precise you can be, the more they're going to be better executed when you need to execute them perfectly. I don't know why I said that so weird. But anyways, you're basically just you're training how you want to fight in your training. So that way when it comes time to fight, it happens that exact way. So when it comes to like mentally preparing, we don't do anything for it though. We don't like train for when we're gonna have a shitty day, or we don't train for when we are gonna miss our opener when we've hit it 19 times. We just go into the gym, we hit our lifts, we blah blah blah. So, like, with that said, we need to be turned on mentally. We need to be paying attention to what we're doing. We need to be adamant about our training process, especially in the sport of weightlifting. So, like, when we go into the gym, we need to be better acclimated to train. I think really the first step is like understanding the how and why of like our training in itself. And one of the big things I'm big at the gym is like understanding why you're doing what you're doing. So like I am big on my coaches and athletes having good conversations with coach to be like, "Hey coach, why am I doing this movement today?" And even to the level of like, "Hey, why am I doing this movement to this rep scheme, or why am I doing this rep scheme to this percent?" I want that conversation to be freely and openly inviting for the athlete to ask. I don't want like a dictatorship, because I want them to understand, hey, it's because I am pushing you this week. Hey, it's because the last 2 weeks we've gone easy. Now it's time to go. Or, I even had a conversation of like, hey, it's been really good. I'm trying to milk one more week out of you. Like the iron's hot. I want to keep going. Um, so those conversations need to be open so that way the athlete can understand. Or in another sense of like, hey, you don't get the bar back behind you really well. We continue to like land, and then we let the bar kind of sneak forward as we recover. So that's why we're doing all this behind the neck work, is so your body can get used to that feeling and you can better place it back there and be used to it. So just getting the athlete to understand, then the athlete now understands what is being expected of them versus just like doing it and then haphazardly doing it. So there's a little bit more understanding there. So that's a way they can mentally prepare. Um, the other side of the coin is like when training sucks and you have like grindy sets or you have volume, you need to train yourself to just prepare for that. And one thing I said to an athlete the other day who's grinding through some volume of clean work that isn't particularly their favorite because they have a weak position for the hang is hey, you can only think for the next 15 minutes as you finish these sets of how these are going to benefit your cleans. You can't think anymore about how much this sucks. You can only think about how this is going to make you better and get that big, tasty PR you want. And like it's flipping the script on the mental mindset. And you can use this for squats. You see you're on your volume. It's like, fuck, I have 5 sets of 10 today. Oh my God, coach hates me. And then like you have the choice right there. You can sit there and rack that bar and be like, this is going to fucking suck. Like, yeah, it is obviously, but like you chose a sport. I'm sorry if you want like frictionless training, go fucking do water aerobics or something where there's literally less friction. But you need to put your mindset into a place where it's I'm doing this so I can be better. These squats of 10 are going to raise my leg endurance to prepare me to be stronger. They are going to make me have bigger muscles, which will allow me to be stronger. These mentality shifts will help you develop mentally for the road ahead of you so you can be stronger mentally. Mentally developing itself is something I think that people just don't know how to do. We're not taught how to do it. So like this is the actual training of the brain. In this conversation with the athlete, I basically was like, we don't train ourselves how to train our brain. If I said you had weak legs, everyone would sit there and be like, hey, you're an asshole. Well, no, I'm not being an asshole. It's like, hey, you have weak legs. So you automatically know if you have any common sense in a gym environment or training aspect, if coach says that, then you're going to be like, well, shit, I should probably train my legs more. Okay, so you know now, okay, I'm going to go do leg exercises or I'm going to go do A, B, and C. When I say, hey, go train your brain, 90% of the population is like, okay. We never get taught it. It's not something that's like developed, all right? And it's not a muscle you can go like flex like a bicep. So how the fuck do we train our brain? Okay, we exercise our brain by putting it through situations, or because humans are masters of being copycats, right? That's how we do it since we're children. We imitate. That's our superpower, as far as I'm concerned. We imitate really well, so we can read similar stories. So there's plenty of books out there like Mind Gym that tell stories of other athletes that have gone through conflict or had hardships that they've gotten through, or told the stories of them even failing things, but then coming back and doing them. This allows our brain to read, interpret, understand, and see that other human beings, just like us, that may have similar or same stories and backgrounds, have been able to accomplish it. Because we're such good imitators as humans, it allows our brain to start kind of developing this imitation base to be like, oh, I can imitate this situation, or at least try. And if we try, we can start making like little pebbles and turn those pebbles into stones. Um, Beyond there, you can read other stories about how the brain actually works. Um, when it comes to sporting, that's another cool one you can do that I recommend. And then you have a little bit better understanding of how it's going to work when it comes time for the sporting event. There's also things like drills that you can do that actually just help you drill your brain to kind of bring it to whatever stasis you want. So one of my athletes, Caitlin Cooper, was given by her sports psychologist when we were working with them. It was Dr. Novetzky. If you guys have not seen his podcast, go watch it. It's in here. But it was basically a sheet of paper and it was 0 to 100 of numbers. And she was to before a competition or before a training session, she was feeling anxious or just irritable or wasn't ready to train yet. She would pull out the number sheet and she had to go, and on this sheet, it was 100 pieces of 100 numbers scattered around randomly, and she had to tag and find all the numbers. And it just kind of calmed her brain down, got her outside of whatever was going around outside the world, and she had to find one, then three, then or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and find them all throughout the piece of paper. So that way it would just take out whatever was going on in the outside world and effectively turn all that off. And that would allow her to shut out the noise of the outside world. In the military, we commonly refer to this as, like, at least in my unit, we said finding your calm. When shit got really crazy, we'd grab each other, we'd be like, find your calm, bring it down, and that would help bring your brain back to where you needed to be so you could continue to operate. All right, when it comes to exercising, you need to be able to do that. You need to be able to, any sport, right? If you get excitable, that's where you start making mistakes. So those are some drills you can do. The last one is really meditation. All right, meditation is going to be big. I've started even doing this a little bit more. I really enjoy Stoicism. So I have a Stoicism app on my phone that Dr. Novetzky advised that I get that he likes. So I've been doing stuff like that. And just sitting there and taking 10 to 15 minutes for your own self. You need to find your format. That was one thing me and him talked about, because like the way my wife likes meditation and other people do, I'm not very good at. So this is a method that I like a little bit better. But taking that 10 to 15 minutes to yourself to find your purpose every day, and just think on your day or how you're going to take care of situations as they arise, I think is super helpful. And you can go down the rabbit hole on that. I don't want to influence you too much on that. So those are all ways that you can exercise your brain that I think would really help you. Now, learning your sport better, I also think, is a way you can exercise your brain. Okay, this is one I think athletes don't do enough of, but they have done a lot of research to know and understand and support that the better an athlete tends to understand their sport better. And I'm not saying like be a coach level, I'm saying just know simple base mechanics, anatomy, and or even programming concepts. They start to understand and involve themselves to a base degree more, so that way they can understand and rationalize why they're doing things more, which will make them less excitable when things don't go wrong. They understand why things are stressful. They understand why things may not be clicking. They can sit there and understand that their body is fatigued, so that may be why they're failing. And or they can understand that they can look at their video and be like, I'm not in the right anatomical position for this movement. It's why I'm failing. That's why it happened today. They can make self-corrections, thus providing rationality to why they failed versus just be like, why am I fucking failing? This is bullshit. I hate it. I'm such a shitty lifter. I could do this on Monday. It's like, no, dog, you just had your shoulders a little bit too far behind. Fix that tomorrow and you'll be absolutely fine. They go in the next day, holy shit, I'm a genius. No, it was just like you were just off a little bit. All right. This little bit of learning can really, really, really help you. All right. So those are all ways to kind of help you train your brain. All right. Now, knowing when to step back and take a break. All right, this is kind of the midpoint of the podcast for today. We're going to slow down because this is a big one and we need to talk about it because this is a mental health situation. Okay. First and foremost, if this is affecting you outside of the gym and you're training, whether, again, you're a football player, you are a weightlifter, you are anything. Okay. If it is affecting you outside of the gym, you need to step back. and take a breath. Okay. Unless you are a professional athlete or a collegiate level athlete that is getting paid for this. And then I will even put on the skim surface a high school level athlete that is not wanting, needing this to help pay for college. If this is affecting your life, relationships, and health outside of the gym, you need to step the fuck back. If you're a coach that disagrees with me, you need to step the fuck back. That is unhealthy. Okay. There's no way around it. It's unhealthy. So let's dig in on that. All right. If you are starting to get nervous in the gym about the last time you had similar programming or that same movement pattern and it didn't maybe go well, all right, you need to sit there and start to kind of rationalize, all right, that this is either going to be good or bad that I feel this way. All right. You then get to go through the flowchart of life and be like, okay, I'm allowed to be a little nervous. Okay. Or, competition time. I'm back to the platform. I'm allowed to be a little nervous, but I've practiced. I worked with my coach and we worked on the things that I was not as skilled at. I'm going to do those today and do my best at them to try to conquer this time. That's all you can do. And then you adamantly attempt. Now, if it's on the other side of the script and you get nervous about last time, and even though you've done all that training and you've focused on it and you've worked with your coach and it goes like shit and you get all nervous and antsy and anxious and it goes like shit again, that's a head thing. And you need to work on the mental side of that training. Okay, because that is where it's starting to get unhealthy and you're starting to fear the sport and it shouldn't be that way. All right. The third variable is kind of an asshole variable, but if you are having that much stress, you don't adamantly work on the technique, the skills and drills your coach give you to work on that, and you just kind of buzz through them. You don't adamantly actually give a fuck. You just check mark train it, and then you get back to the complex that was bad last time, and you get nervous about it. Well, fuck you. You didn't practice. You just fucking put checks in the boxes. You don't deserve to get better at it. So if you get anxious and antsy, and then you have a bad day, and then you get all pissy over it, fuck off. As far as I'm concerned, you didn't actually practice. So why would you expect a positive result? All right. If you are purposely skipping the days that you had a bad day on, this is unhealthy. Okay, as much as we should and love to skip bad training days, we can't. All right, they're always going to be there. We need to continue to go at them. If you're purposely skipping these days, all right, that is bad. All right, and that should probably be approached with your coach. And then, is it causing you unhealthy stress outside of the gym? All right, if training is fucking with your life outside of the gym, as in you're not making healthy choices, you're not getting sleep because you're like thinking about this shit at night, and or you're making like you're stress eating because of training, or your training at the gym isn't going well and you're pissy and angry about it, you're not having a like healthy relationship with the gym. And it's probably time to take a step back. So it actually isn't like an off day. You have an unhealthy relationship with the gym at that current point, and you need to just probably step back. Because getting through an off day is just like you step back, you're like, well, this is what I did wrong. Okay, tomorrow's a new day. And then you move on to the new day. All right, you make a note on what you want to fix, and then the gym day is done after you leave the gym. If it's fucking with you outside past that and these variables, you need to look at it a different way. Okay, some ways that you can look at it is like look at your peers and your idols. If your peers that are higher level or even the same are not doing all that and you are, there's probably something off. And then like the people you idolize, like elite athletes or like your coaches, even when they are missing lifts, are they throwing massive hissy fits? Are they slamming the equipment? Are they having a shit attitude? I'm pretty sure I have watched a lot of alien videos and a lot of cocky videos and all the greats, and I really don't remember many of them in the training hall or anything, like having pissy fits. And they missed lifts. And I've been in international training halls, and I really don't think I can remember any time an internationally ranked athlete from another international team I've ever seen have a baby fit because training wasn't going well. Now, mind you, I'm sure every now and then they get angry and upset, but if you're doing that and everyone else around you isn't, you're the outlier. Okay. Um, and like, would your coach do it when they were an athlete? The people you idolize, if they don't do it, it's an unhealthy relationship, and that can get fixed. It's easy to get fixed. You just have to work on it. All the things I said above can help you work on it. And these ways to work on it will train your brain, which will allow you then to have like an actual healthy relationship with the sport, which then help you get through bad days. Because then, okay, let's go back to the training scenario. You have a training day, and of the 4 movements you did that day, 2 of them were shit, 2 of them are fine. Nothing was great or standalone. You leave the gym and you're just pissy and angry the rest of the day. Okay? You have bad attitude towards friends, family. You go to bed angry, you wake up, you go to work, you go into the gym, and you're just upset. And you're hoping the next training session goes well. That needs to get checked. You will not make much success doing it that way. Situation B, same scenario. You have 4 training movements, 2 go shit, 2 go okay, nothing notable. But you rationalize, hey, everything I did today, all right, the 2 things I did poorly, I probably just need to think about what I did. Probably was out of position, or maybe I just wasn't paying attention to the right things. I'll talk to coach about it briefly. And then the 2 things I did well, what did I do well on? Let's point out the good. Okay, cool. I got through my squats. They didn't feel as bad as the last time I did them. Pulls felt fine, right? They didn't feel bad. They felt fine. So that's good. That's positive. And then I go home and the training's done. I left it behind the door after I left the gym. I could carry on. Now I can enjoy my significant other. I can go play some video games and get a nice dopamine hit from playing that, murking some noobs. I can go out to dinner with my friends and I'm not thinking about training. And I can go to sleep happy. And then the next day I can go to the gym. I can open up my program and be like, cool, what am I doing today? Out of both scenarios, I think it's pretty easy to see which one is more ideal. And there is no conversation of like, well, athlete 1 gives a fuck and athlete 2 doesn't. I've been around the sport long enough to know that there are athletes that you would think don't even give a single shit about weightlifting, and they are the top of the top. And then there are athletes that all they do is study books and papers and everything, and they're fucking terrible athletes. So it's a lot of how you rationalize, how you develop, but it really does come down to how you mentally prepare yourself and what you're doing on the back end to train your brain. I really do support this. You need to work on, when I'm not going to have a good day, what am I doing? How am I making the choice to go through this? When lifts are not going well, am I going to be able to finish snatches not going well and move to clean and jerks and just wipe the slate clean? Because that is what competition is, ultimately. So if you're training to be a weightlifter and you can't do that, you're fucking yourself. You're just never going to make progress. You will always have a shitty meet. So I suggest again, that second section I talked about, mentally developing, that you guys look at either reading materials, you look at drills to do before training or post training, to help your brain develop, or some sort of meditation work. And I advise that you guys leave training in the gym when you enter and exit the building. Hope this guys helps you. You guys do not have to have off days. Leave with you when you leave the building. All right, they happen. They're always going to happen. But if you leave them in the gym, it's ironic. Your gym's training will actually get better. So have a good day, guys. I hope you guys like this one. Thanks.